Hi, Basket Case here. I have been backstitching, which is a spiral to the right, all the way around this row, and you can see it's forming the popcorn stitch. This is my last stitch on this row. I'm going to have to go between them a little bit. When I was first trying to learn this, I kept trying to stitch it here because it looks like I'm on this row, but I'm actually finishing this row, which is attached to the one below it. I call the last stitch when I do backstitch the understitch because I have to go under this row and remember that I am binding this one to the one below. And then I will come up and continue this row. So I'm going to go back here. And again, there's that gap, so I'm going to stitch into this one so I don't have that thread between the rows. And I didn't do the two legs on this one. I'm going to do them here so that that row finishes. I realize I'm not exactly lined up with this, with my wrapped row. That's the way I do this. Other people might not. So I've done my spiral and my two wraps. And now I want to come up here and start going this way and spiraling to the left again. I'm going to go back through here, so I have sort of this hanging wrapped row here. Hopefully I don't just pop that stitch right back out. Okay. And I'm going to stitch through the middle of the pine needles and come out. I'm getting close. And I'm going to come out at the base of this stitch. This is row 2 of the popcorn. And you'll recall I told you in the last video, now this becomes a thread-only stitch. I'm going to stitch into the X's at this point. Each one of these made an X when I did that back stitch. And I don't want to go through the pine needles at this time. I want to slip under the middle of that X. And I'm going to do 2 wraps, so spiral to the left, and I don't have to go in on the left and out on the right because I'm doing thread only, so it's just back to front. Right under that same X. Another wrap. See, I have the end of this pine needle sticking out there. Just snap that off. Second wrap goes right under that stitch. I'm still bending this to shape it, and this is my last row, so I won't be adding any pine needles. I want to slowly taper this off. I'm going only under the thread. See, I only went under the thread. Now, this pulled my X over there. I want that in the middle of that stitch, so I'm just going to use my thread to move that over. When you're doing thread only, if you pull to the left or the right, it can move that stitch. And then I'll do a second wrap. I spiraled to the left, and I'm doing 2 wrap stitches. And what you'll see here is this is how the stitch is offset. This was the first row, and now if I go in the X's, I have a leg here, a leg there, and they alternate. So it's sort of an offset stitch, I guess you would call it. And if you did the suncatcher video, you will see where we spiral. But in case you didn't, I'll show you what I mean. And you can just watch that video. I'm keeping them short with one part at a time so you can just see the part you need to look at without going through a long video. Okay, I am going to just clip my stitch on. Sometimes I move my thread over here just so it's out of my way. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to get an idea of how far I need to go here. Oh. Put that a little closer. So when I'm ending here, I pretty much come to the end with enough pine needles. I want 4 or 5, but I do want it to go all the way back to the beginning. So when I get to this point, I'm not going to add anything while I go around there because it's tapering itself. But if I now add one here, then I'm going around the row again. I only want to add, this is where the end will be, enough to keep that going. So as I get closer to the end, I probably wouldn't even add any until I was right about here. So I would start cutting these pine needles so that I'm only using enough to finish that row without having it go back around again. I'm going to continue stitching until I'm right about here, and then I'll demonstrate cutting those needles so that they fit right to the end of the row. Okay, see ya.